So the tools were different now in 2009. Rather than fax machines and couriers and hard phone lines and snail mail, we had the internet. And some things are still the same. Keith and I still share an office, although now our windows look out on the street. So our project at this point was to kill the obscenely overpriced and underperforming F-22 fighter jet. Now this is an amazing story because the Secretary of Defense, who had both been working for President Bush and President Obama, had said they didn't want to keep building it. It was time to end building it. And both the Democrat and Republican leadership of the Senate Armed Services Committee also said, we don't need to have this anymore. But they were still going to keep building it anyway. This is how Washington works, right? I mean, it's because the lobbyists for Lockheed and many subcontractors were so focused on keeping their gravy train going that this was going to keep happening anyway. So we are brought into action on this. And Mandy, who was mentioned before by Jason, at this point was in her third of 4 stints at POGO. She's now the director of the Strauss Military Reform Project, but this is her previous time when she was with us. We're brought into the McCain Inner Circle. And let's see if this works. What they did for us, I'd never done this before. Does that work? Yes. They pulled together for us a whip list. This is a list of everyone in the Senate. And it's color-coded by how strongly they were with us. Notice that it says, I think it says something like supporting DOD, because DOD actually was saying we should be killing the program. All the way to, on the other side, wanting to keep funding it anyway. And as you can see, we had 39 people strongly on our side. Remember, I'm still the one who was hearing that boss telling me I was too stupid to work on the Hill. But so this was really exciting, but totally terrifying. And so because we had the internet, we now had the capacity, we had a blog. I mean, this was really new. And rather than having to rely on persuading journalists that it was something interesting to put out, we could just put it up ourselves. So we would call the people who we thought we had to persuade and say to their staff, which way is your boss going to vote? This was new. This was totally new. And we would then put it up on our blog, which way they were going to vote. And here's what we found. There were a whole lot of Democrats who were planning to vote in favor of it, but didn't want anyone to know about it. But here's the beauty. We had the internet, so we could put it up. And our friend Darcy's here, wherever Darcy is. Darcy was one of the people who, so we could put it up, and then there were organizations, Darcy was one of the organizations that had the grassroots community that could then go back to those constituents of those members and say, you said you're this progressive, not a part of the military-industrial complex. Why are you voting in favor of this? And it started to matter. We were getting pushback from Democrats who were saying, why are you putting this up on the web? We don't like this. I really believe, actually, there were at least 2 Democrats who were flipping because we were outing them. And so as things started to shift, we still, you need to have 51 to win on a vote like this. And Levin and McCain, the chairman at the time and ranking, were postponing the vote because things started to shift because of this community grassroots efforts. At the same time, we were also going to actual physical offices of members. And one time, Mandy and I accompanied 2 of the great Pentagon reformers. One of them is here, Pierre. I don't know where you are, but you're there somewhere. Pierre, thank you. And Pierre and Winslow, the original director of the Strauss Military Reform Project, were going to lobby Senator Coburn, who switched. You see, he went the right way ultimately. And they went into the room. And Mandy and I were left outside in the hall, which reminds me that not everything changed from the times when Hazel O'Leary realized that women are sometimes not always allowed in the room. But anyway, so things started to change, and in the end, we won 58-40. There was a significant shift, and I definitely believe that Little Pogo had a role to play in this clash of the titans when you had the biggest industry and the most powerful cabinet secretaries and members of Congress involved, and we were a part of it. So we won. So we had an Irish wake at the Mott House, thank you, Conrad, for the death of the F-22 production line. And so we're celebrating the death of the F-22, and Phil Strauss, who was cheering us on from Philadelphia, came down on the train and brought, let's see if this works, a bouquet of dead flowers to celebrate the death of the F-22. So here he is tonight celebrating the big 35 for POGO. So I'm hoping this is an omen, and you can come up and join me to end our evening tonight, that maybe he'll be able to celebrate the death of the F-35 in the near future, which is equally outrageously overpriced and underperforming.